Rolex don't care about their customers anymore. Rolex are no longer an enthusiast brand. Rolex have no concept of customer loyalty or good customer service. Rolex only care about celeb or VIP clients, not normal people. For years working in the industry as a dealer, these points of view have grown louder and louder and more common. And I've always really just dismissed them as a background noise or passed them off as the moaning drone of a spiteful wannabe dreamer. But after visiting Watches and Wonders 2023, the ultimate platform to impress and silence those moaners, I must say, I'm disgusted. What's up guys, I'm Vinny and welcome back to the channel. Please do subscribe down below if you haven't done as yet. Now, I really want to start off by saying that Watches and Wonders was an amazing experience. It was incredible to tour really the mecca of watchmaking in the city of Geneva and explore all of these brand new brands. Some I wasn't familiar with before. But what I wanted to talk about really was my experience with some brands and one brand in particular, the brand that we're most interested in, the brand that everybody wants to know about first, and that is of course Rolex. I have to say, having traveled 1,000 miles to visit Geneva, I expected to actually see some watches and see some watches from Rolex other than in a glass booth for longer than 30 seconds. Surely if you travel to the event where these watches are launched, you would assume that you could try these pieces on, see what they're like on the wrist, and of course in our collecting hobby, that's what it's all about. Now I wanted to make this video really because there are lots of other YouTubers of course that have made several videos and tried the watches on the wrist and commented on the lug size and the diameter compared to the previous model. Of course the new Daytona is actually a true 40mm compared to the one that came before it, which was a 38.5mm watch. And as a enthusiast and a dealer of course, I wanted to see what that larger in real terms case size was like on the wrist, whether it was noticeable or not. Well, I had no chance of doing that. In the eyes of Rolex, I was common cattle. And that isn't great because I actually have purchased two watches from an authorized dealer, two Rolex watches, brand new from them before, so I am an existing client. And I must say their booth itself wasn't particularly interesting. The vast majority of other brands, Panerai, Jaeger-LeCoultre, IWC, had an immersive experience. It wasn't just about going to view the watches in a display case, it was about experiencing the brand. You had theatre with Cartier, you went into a little cinema room and watched a fancy new video about all of their new releases. With Rolex, of course, as many people at the event were actually saying and actually commenting, they didn't have to do any of that. They didn't have to pull out any stops for an immersive experience or so that you could learn about the brand. No, because they assumed quite ignorantly and arrogantly that everybody knew what Rolex were about, that everybody knew that yes, we've got these watches on display, you can't try them on, and who cares if you can or can't, because you can't get one anyway, and the only people who can get one are the VIPs. And that brings me on to the next point as well, which really got my back up. I was there, as I said, at 8 AM in the morning, so I was one of the first people there. I walked into the booth and there was a Rolex sale assistant that was sort of guarding the steps to what I imagine was the VIP room above. And I asked, can I go up there? Can I actually try some pieces on? Can I speak to someone? And I made it clear that I am a client. I have purchased two watches from the brand before, and therefore surely I should be as important as whoever is allowed up there. And the answer was no, I'm sorry. This is not for general public. Why is it that other people are more important than me, a previous existing client of the brand, someone who spent over £25,000 across two pieces with that brand, and yet I'm not allowed to try the watches on and I'm not considered important enough? That was really the light bulb moment for me, where I realized what those guys in the comments are getting at, that they're not just moaners, they're not just spiteful dreamers, that they're actually normal people who have a history of buying with Rolex and yet are quite disenfranchised now by the way that they're going about things. Now, we know that Rolex is a sought after brand. We understand why pieces are waitlisted. It's the simple economic principle of supply versus demand, and demand will outstrip supply, and that's why a secondary market exists. But still, Rolex, this was your opportunity. This is the pinnacle, the stage for you to prove those guys wrong, for you to actually sell the brand in the light that you want it to be portrayed. And I have to say, all you did with that level of service, that lack of service, that lack of respect for your customers, I think is alienate even more people than you won over. When I was in and around Geneva and walking into the boutiques of Jaeger-LeCoultre and even Audemars Piguet, the other great massive hype watch brand in Geneva, I was able to walk into the boutique, sit down, be offered a champagne, glass of wine, Coca-Cola, whatever, and try some pieces on. There were other brands as well. Chopard had an amazing sort of French Renaissance style booth, and I walked in there. I was walking around the entire Watches and Wonders show with a body cam on, a GoPro camera, and I was filming everything that I could see. I was in there for about a minute, and a sales assistant came up to me saying, "Oh, monsieur, you cannot film in here." And I looked at him and I said, "Really?" I said, "But this is a press event. This event is so that guys like me can come in here with cameras, take photographs of your products, put those photographs online and sell your products for you."
Sorry, you can take pictures, but you can't share.
Right, okay. I said, "That's the whole point of Watches and Wonders." And he said, "Yes, we're not allowed to have cameras in here, do not record." I'm now turned off by the Chopard brand as well, because I couldn't believe that terrible service I got from there. And quite frankly, Chopard need to have journalists walking around there filming and taking photographs of as many of their watches as possible, because it's not easy for them to sell their watches. A Lange & Söhne, I'm a massive fan of Lange. I've said it before on the channel. I would love to add one of those to my collection. I walked around that booth for about 2 minutes, touched one of the displays, and I had 3 sales assistants swarm around with me almost immediately saying, "You cannot touch, do not touch anything." And then, you know, I could see other security guards as well starting to get, aroused that they had a job to do and potentially remove somebody. And again, this is your platform, Lange, your center stage to sell your brand to the world. And you've lost me, to be honest, because frankly, I can take my £120,000, the price that you are charging for your brand new Odysseus chronograph, and I can take it elsewhere. The brand new Ingénieur, there's a lot of hype going around this watch. I wanted to try it on in person. Yes, of course, sir. I was marched over to a VIP area and I was respected. Am I more likely to buy an IWC Ingénieur now? Yes, I am. Am I less likely to buy a Rolex now? Yes, I am. I don't use this excuse as well, Rolex, that, oh, well, there's just too many people that are interested in our brand and we can't possibly have everyone trying our watches on. Well, Tudor came up with practical solutions for people to very quickly, at a glance, try their new pieces on the wrist, and also practical solutions for people to tour their booth and immerse themselves and experience the brand with pre-booked appointments for those tours. The other thing with Tudor as well is we were advised on the day that there is a pop-up boutique in Geneva. If you want to buy any of our brand new releases, they are all available immediately at this pop-up boutique, which I thought was fantastic, because all of those new watches will have at least a 6-month wait list here in the UK. And of course, I went to the pop-up boutique. We bought the brand new Black Bay 41mm with burgundy bezel on the 3-link or oyster style bracelet. Fantastic watch that is now available, one of the first available in the UK at beatthewaitlist-watches.com, so go check that out there. As with regards to Watches and Wonders 2024, would I go again? Yes, I would. I think it was an interesting experience. I think more of the experience was touring Geneva and seeing some of the boutiques in the city centre as much as the Watches and Wonders show. Next year, there's a lot I think that they have to improve on. Anyway guys, thanks very much for joining me once again on the channel. Go check out beatthewaitlist-watches.com and I'll see you next week. Take care.